So coming right after this and right before I let you all for lunch is a panel discussion on blockchain potential in cybersecurity. Without any more further ados, let's welcome our moderator, once again, Mr. Eliel Mulumba, OT IT Security Lead, Management Consulting, and our first panelist, Mr. Raido Saar, who is the CEO and founder of Matter Holding Limited, and our second panelist, Mr. Khalid Alhosni, who is the CEO and Chief Data Architect for KA Consultant LLC. Can we have a huge round of applause for the gentleman coming up and for the panel discussion? A huge. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Eliel.
Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure for me again to moderate the second panel of today on blockchain's potential in cybersecurity. And let me start with a quote. If it's not on chain, I do not trust it. We hear a lot about blockchain, but a lot of people don't know what blockchain is actually about. So this is something that we're going to unlock today with our group here within the panel. Before going into the details, I would like to have a perspective from the audience. Who is not familiar with blockchain and the technology? Can you maybe raise your hand? And don't be shy. Good. So that means that the majority of people here in the room are familiar with blockchain. I hope not only in the context of cryptocurrency as Bitcoin and others. And I'm really looking forward to kick this off. And Khalid, let me maybe start with a first question to you, because when I'm also explaining to my wife what IT is about and cybersecurity, I might also be asked, like, what is this blockchain about? Is it a chain and a block? Can you maybe help us to understand a bit the mechanics behind the blockchain?
Well, just so that I don't actually become like a broken record, so because everyone here is very well aware of it, I'd like to actually see, if you don't mind, everyone here, hands please, who works within blockchain. One. Okay, so, who works within AI? Oh, much more. And who works in cybersecurity? Oh, okay, okay. So, it's nothing beyond the holding the integrity of data value and, the data value and integrity. That's the whole thing about it, and everyone knows that. But I think what I would like to actually talk about here today, very openly, and I'd like to actually maybe provoke some people who are sitting here, is that, you know, why is it that blockchain, from 2007 till today, it is still crawling. It's not moving that fast, and I'm sorry I'm being like that, you know, because I think it's good to have this kind of, you know, discussion. Why is it? Does anyone have any answer to why that is? And please pose a question or maybe give something to talk about, because I'd rather actually have us discuss it as opposed to us just only, you know, blabbering something that you can go ahead and just check on an LLM or anything like that outside. So I'd like to say one thing here. I'd say, in a world that's turning into more centralization today, we have a decentralized mechanism. I think that's a big deal, and that's where the blockchain is taking a big block against it. I don't see it going that fast. When we talk about 2007 till today, look at the AI, for instance. Yes, AI has been around for many, many years. But with the advent of this large language models, we've seen how AI changed the speed. And I'd like to ask this question between us here. Why the same thing didn't happen to blockchain? Why do we see blockchain being blocked? And for me, I say this centrality or centralization that's taking over is probably the biggest block. And I'm just gonna stop at this here and maybe go for the next points. And I'd like to really provoke everyone here to see if we can have a discussion.
Thank you very much, Khalid. And I think this is also an invitation to the audience for the Q&A that we're also going to have after this panel. I really enjoy the way you're trying to engage also with the audience. So, Raido, you're more focusing on the compliance side of things, huh? So when you're entering actually organizations, oh no, again, that guy who's looking into compliance, I'm not compliant with this, I need to check this box. We have talked a lot about AI today and about embracing new technologies and applying them into our day-to-day business. So I would like to understand from your perspective, looking more into regulations, compliance angle, how does blockchain as a technology change the way we trust technology?
Thank you very much. And hello, everybody from Estonia. I would like to start with some very common sentence every our minister going abroad is using, that Estonia was using blockchain before the blockchain. It's partly true, because Estonia is using since 2001. It's 6 years because the famous Bitcoin white paper was published. Was using already open source protocol called X-Road. And why did we do it? And why it has meaning for cybersecurity? First of all, when Estonia started to plan how to digitalize governance, there was, of course, data exchange problem. And the first problem, how to solve it, as we had already that time quite big IT companies for Estonia, and they wanted to start building API tunnels between all the parties. Little calculation showed that if we do this, if we build API tunnels between all the departments and data points which share data with each other to make decisions, it will cost budget of Estonian IT ministry for next 30 years. And that's why we went for X-Road. X-Road is one-to-many connections between security servers, and we could say in today's terms that every bit moving in X-Road is smart contract. And that was widely used, and today in 20 countries they have built their own X-Roads. And some places it doesn't work still, because X-Road, like blockchain, is not any kind of magic tool. You have to have services using it. And of course, common standards are always helpful. Somehow we are talking about blockchain that this is something like, if you have blockchain, you are in a good side. But we have so many different blockchains, and not all of them have been built for good use. So if people are talking about, let's say, smart contracts, which are actually not smart at all, they're just pieces of program to do something if something happens. But we don't talk so much about auditing those smart contracts and kill switches in smart contracts, and also backdoors in smart contracts. There have been so many scams in crypto where establisher of some new fantastic coin, some moment you see that there is value is zero because the owners of the coin just emptied your wallets. So auditing and trusting the smart contract is a really difficult question. And that means that if something is in blockchain, doesn't make it secure by essence. We, as human, we have to be smart and understand what we can trust. And for that purpose, what we can read from the past, if the blockchain is well established, decentralized, and uncontrolled by one party, then we can read from the past. And we know all the saying that you can't predict the future without knowing the past. And in that sense, of course, blockchain can be useful because at least we know what happened before. So without knowing who was sending what data to whom, you just can't hold anybody responsible. And running away from responsibility is something which, of course, we all know. Today was said that you pay your ransom in Bitcoin, None. We know, of course, now that blockchains can be traced, but if your attacker was from North Korea, then sorry, they don't care. Because they are already national heroes. They already stole your assets. So that knowing where it went doesn't help either for always. So coming back to the beginning, blockchain gives us very good, detailed track record, what happened. But we have to see what happens in the future. We have to predict it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for that. And Khalid, we were just hearing how Estonia as a country was approaching blockchain. And we have heard that they did blockchain even before the name was already on vogue. I would like to have your perspective on the Middle East region. When did you hear the first time from blockchain? And which industries were particularly known for leveraging those technologies? I remember my first papers from Mr. Takashi that I was reading actually about blockchain. So I would be happy to have your perspective.
Do we have like 2 hours to do that? Okay, let's start with this. Number one, how many here know about, was it the, no, not that. Okay, it'll come. Here's the issue. The blockchain, the first time I've heard about it was 2007 for me. And I've heard of this meeting that's taking place here in Dubai. So I flew in just to go and sit down, and I went, and I was listening to everyone speaking, and I was thinking I was the only dumb one sitting there on a table. And I was like looking around, and everyone was like nodding, like, hey, they know everything. Just towards the end of that, you know, it took about maybe 2 hours. Then we were having coffee, and so I thought I'll just ask some of the other people who know much more than I do. And I started asking them, and everyone was like giving me a smile and thinking, oh, it's a futuristic thing, it's good. It's good. What do you mean it's good? What is it about? Oh, you know. No, I don't know. So the problem that I saw today, not 2007, so many people think they know, but they still don't know. I will always expose the the pink elephant in the room. And how many people here know about Hadoop? Hadoop?
Of course.
Hadoop? No, you say of course. I want hands, please. Hadoop? Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, come on, are you shy? Okay, 6 hands. Hadoop is just another form of a blockchain, but within the organization, really. That's only the difference. Now, Hadoop has been around way back when. The problem with the good thing about blockchain is its decentralization, and it preserves, as I was talking about, the value of data within. Now, let me jump into that. Now, it was the pink elephant. Now I'm talking about the white elephant in the room. Data. I haven't heard anyone talk about the type of data that's actually being governed. I haven't heard that, you know, people talk about the blockchain. Do what? Preserve. Excellent. Preserve what? So the data that's inside is extremely important, or maybe not important at all. So no one talks about that. But this is exactly why it's not picking up. Because you have to actually make a distinction between very extremely important data and the data that's not that important within the organization. I have seen it. You asked me about which applications. I have failed to even see it actually take the real effect, which is in the financial industry, which is like, for instance, God forbid anyone from Swift here, that it actually takes over Swift. What is Swift? What is Swift? It is just a mechanism, right? And Swift takes such a long time, and all of these, let's use your terminology, they have those smart, not too smart, contracts from many different places between all those different banks to do one transfer. The same thing that can be done in no time using blockchain, for instance. So if I was to come and say, hey, I want to be a futuristic person, how can I take this blockchain and make sure that I can use it progressively, but while keeping the central bank happy? Okay, that's an example, for instance. So I'd go and say, hey, you know what? Within the central bank, this is a component. Guys and girls, blockchain is not per se an ecosystem of its own. It has to be a layer within another ecosystem. And that's the biggest problem. Everyone is trying to see that blockchain is a layer, no, not a layer, but rather an ecosystem by itself. It is not. It is a layer within so many others. So when you say application, I just said layer, by the way. So a central bank wants to adopt it, easy. They just have to go and make sure it's within. So all their banks, for instance, they use this mechanism that's right there within, and it's a mechanism that can be controlled from outside by the central bank. That's possible, but no one looks at it that way. Everyone fears it before even opening it up. It's like a box which has a giant, what's the word? Boogie. You know the boogeyman? There's a boogeyman in the box. Don't touch it. But it shouldn't be. Really, it shouldn't be. So, answering your question, the main use right now is actually for transactions, especially financial transactions. And I must say, it's not doing that good of a job. And how is that? I was speaking to my friend, and I was asking him a question. I said, hey, you worked in blockchain much more than I have. Why is it till today you can only have 6 to 7 transactions, right, per second using blockchain, as opposed to through Visa card or Visa network, you can do 60, 70,000 per second? And I stop at that.
Thank you very much. I mean, Raido, I just want to build on what Khalid just mentioned, that blockchain is used heavily in the financial institutions. These are use cases that we are familiar with when it comes to transactions. You also refer to the ecosystem, that blockchain is an integrated part of another ecosystem. I would like to hear from you, have you come across usage of blockchain in other industries than only financial institutions? And how should organizations actually also try to apply the concepts and ideas behind the blockchain?
Yes. There are some good samples. For example, if blockchain is mixed with multi-party computational data processing, it shows very promising future. And why? It's first of all anonymization of data, and then you can process the data, calculate, and find out important aspects about very sensitive data, let's say some national habits or health questions. And then you record your results as hashes in the blockchain. But of course you can't store in the blockchain all the data, because blockchain will become so heavy that blockchain's worth is that the one and the same blockchain, last version of this blockchain is running in all of nodes. Node is basically, if you are using it, it's in your computer as well. So if it's too heavy, in one moment you have to buy just a new computer to run a blockchain, and probably no one is interested in this. So we have to trust that blockchain exists somewhere outside of our premises. And that makes it convenient, but of course, maybe you don't know, but if we take Ethereum blockchain, which moved from proof of work to proof of stake, and now more than 60% of the nodes are held in Amazon Web Services. And what happened with Amazon Web Services a few weeks ago? Blackout. That means that 40% of the nodes were in control of whole blockchain. And this is the part where we have to be really careful. And the answer to your question is that yes, we can use blockchain to store answers or metadata of answers which show where is the informational basis you can look for if you have rights to look into this database.
And looking at it more from a business perspective, we might have some chief executive officer among us here in the room that are asking themselves, what are those guys talking about blockchain? What is really the benefit from a business perspective? So, Raido, maybe just a follow-up question. If you need to break it down in a couple of words, what would be the key benefits that you would actually try to convince the board about leveraging blockchain?
First of all, don't use blockchain if you don't understand what for you are using it. I'm not the salesman of blockchain. Even I am a president of Estonian Web3 Chamber, which is cryptocurrency association established in 2014. And I have been president since 2018, and I am one of the speaker for blockchain industries. But I have to say that blockchain is not used as technology so much today. And there is a huge potential, let's say, to avoid corruption. No, I haven't heard that someone is using it for that purposes yet too widely. But for example, let's take a national tender. Everybody make their bids into the smart contracts, and the date when is the publishing the outcome of the tender, everybody will receive the notice from the smart contract with what everybody else were bidding up. So, perfect use, nobody is using. Because why? Usually it goes a little bit differently, that, this competitor, he bid that much. Put a little bit more. So, to avoid corruption, blockchain would be perfectly usable tool. But for CEOs sitting here, tough cookie, because if you have a business that you have to store in alterable way, whatever happens between your different units of your company, blockchain is very good to deliver the responsibility to whom was misusing their power. Yeah, that's true. Because I've been talking to Airbus, and they have 80 factories across the world, and it's very important that if there is something that every factory must know in the same way, then blockchain is perfect way to deliver this information. But yes, it's only if you know who was the one entering to the blockchain. And this is the biggest problem of cybersecurity, that if you build a pipeline which is very, very strong, you have to only take care both ends of the pipe. Because if those are unprotected, if we don't know who is the one entering to the blockchain or this pipeline, that means that if we don't have strong digital identity, which is tied to the person's legal identity, then everything else comes completely useless.
And I mean, Khalid, to come back to you, Raido was just saying that when it comes to a CEO here in the room, this is a tough cookie, right? Explaining the benefits of blockchain from a business perspective. We just had a talk this morning that I was also leading in another panel on AI. For modern cyber defense capabilities. We know that there's good AI, there's bad AI, and when it comes to blockchain, we also know that there are some misconceptions that you actually started talking a bit about it, and we will dive deeper. I would be curious to understand, when we are looking at the philosophy, strategy of blockchain, how can this help to increase cybersecurity within an organization?
I think before we talk about that, let's talk about maybe it is not solutioning the bigger problems. That is why people are not going and taking them. Because if they take care of big problems, guess what? You don't need to actually educate anyone on them. They'll just grab them. So obviously, they're not solutioning big problems. Not as big anyway. But also at the same time now, why did AI take off so much faster than blockchain? And I'd like to answer that, actually. See, the intersection between AI and blockchain is not post-blockchain, but pre-blockchain. See, you're talking about safeguarding the data. That's what you're doing through blockchain, and transacting it in a very, very lawful and discrete manner. The problem is, what about the data that you're actually using inside? Okay, so AI comes in then and actually tries to increase the value. When you have that much of value for the data that you have inside, obviously you would start to think about how to safeguard the value of this data, as opposed to scatter data all over the place. And you know what? I will derail a little bit, and I have to derail just for the benefit of everyone here. Everyone talks about AI. It's a buzzword. It's a sexy word, AI. Until it's not. And it's not anymore. Yeah, and so I think someone was talking here and saying, okay, not AI, ML, because they had to say AI at the beginning because everyone refers to AI, but no one refers to ML, but actually it's ML, machine learning. Now, here's the thing. AI is just a process, right? So it all depends on the data. So it all depends on the lineage of the data, the quality of the data, the processing of the data, the use cases of the data, the value that you want to get out of the data. Do you have enough data? Do you have the right data? Can you orchestrate the right data in the right workflow? No one talks about that. And in fact, in enterprise today, this is the biggest problem. Forget about blockchain, forget about AI, forget about everything. And I'm being very, even cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, what are you guarding today? You're guarding everything you have. But who says every data you have is actually that important? Yes, your data is important. But hey, you can always create those pipelines where you know this is much, much more important. You know, has like the severity of the importance of this pipeline is much more than this, much more than that, right? But today, everything is mixed. And so when CEOs, as you said, when decision makers try to look at that, what do they say? Oh my God, where do I start? Oh wow, this whole thing. And so it's either they start spending, and then they spend and spend and spend, and they don't actually know that, you know, the ROI, and I'm saying it very openly, I don't think anyone today, 2025, knows how to get a real ROI from their AI and ML uses. And why? It's because they're using AI as a genie. Do you have a bottle here? Yeah, here we go. So maybe there's a genie in this bottle, right? So they rub this genie, and they rub this bottle, and they expect the genie to come outside and solve all their problems, because it's magic. But it's not magic. It is not magic. It's really about the data, about the intricacy of the data, about the use case, basically going all the way to the end, working backwards. What do you want? And then work backwards. Same thing I'd say here. Like, yeah, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh my goodness. You know what I noticed though? Go ahead, please.
Yes, sorry, just to complete that question, right? What we're noticing now is a lot of...
If you can try to speak up a bit.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So what we're noticing now is a lot of companies are going on implementing AI use cases, and back to the points you raised on, no one is looking at cleaning the data, doing data cataloging, governing what the data is going to be like, or accessing data, right? That they don't have access to build the actual AI use cases.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you from your experience,
yes.
Are you noticing the same trend? Because we're noticing that a lot, right, from our side.
The way you're not gonna want my answer here, because how many of you know of Informatica? Use Informatica? Okay, I'm not against Informatica. I'm not. Okay, but there are many others. There's also Talent. There's also there are many. Now, here's what I can answer you. I sat with 2 or 3 of the largest users, largest data repositories in this country and the neighboring country, and I asked them, how much information do you know about the lineage of the data that you have? And you would be surprised, it is close to 0. But it's working, it's there. The ETLs are there. The platforms are there, but it's not. But so you know what? Sorry, I don't want to blow like a
No,
bomb
I
here.
mean, that's fine.
I don't want to blow a bomb here, but it's as if we're just here coming and just regurgitating everything everyone is hearing outside. We don't want to do that anymore. I think it is extremely important because for many years, all these institutions, what they do is do you remember those silos, those warehouses where you have paper? You know, they stack all these big file boxes? Same file boxes, but only now in a digital format. Same format, same thing, but in a digital format. So what are they doing? Oh, everyone's saying, you have to digitize. So they digitized. And then now what happens? They're sleeping on the digitized stuff. So then what do? I have this platform. Doing what? You can't push an elephant through a normal human being door. You need to know what is it that you want at the end, then come backwards, work it backwards. Then you will arrive at where you should be arriving. But if you don't do that, and that's the problem, and I want to sum it up here. I'm just looking at the time. I want to sum it up. If you don't do that, you will end up spending money. But guess what? Everyone around you says, do you have AI? Do you have AI? Do you have AI? Well, congratulations, you have AI now.
And I mean, this is actually an applause for Khalid. I would like to touch on a couple of things that you mentioned, because when it comes to AI spending versus value, we understand that we need to balance it. On the one hand, we are not missing a week where another company is saying, hey, we are working now with NVIDIA, we're working with the Microsoft Awards, we are rolling out Microsoft Copilot for our employees. And we see, yes, and we see information around actually companies saying, I mean, there are studies that are saying like 80% of our employees to use ChatGPT, but no one is talking about it, right? Yeah, it's my own brain. Second one is we see a boost in productivity because based on the studies and first information that we receive is actually AI is helping us or helping humans to go through boundaries that they might maybe have with their own human capabilities.
In their dreams.
Yes. So just to confront you. And the third one that I would like to confront you with is that where we see our organizations that are making huge investments, but at the end of the day, when you look at the revenue, the margin, the EBIT, it didn't change in the last 2-3 years. Exactly. So I would like to have your perspectives. How do you approach those people? On the one side saying hey, it's the latest and greatest, but on the other side you have this criticism. So how do you balance yourself between those two extremes?
So I'll give you an example of a banking institution, one of the largest in the region, and then I'll give you another one of one of the largest telecom, and these are our clients.
And Khalid, maybe just to add, what we also hear from US is that companies are saying, we don't hire juniors anymore in software engineering because we do believe that the AI is able to do their jobs in the future. So I would also like to have your perspective on those dynamics that we hear.
Let me start with the first one. So here's the thing. Very, very nice. So I sit with them and I say to them, guys, what do you want? We're here to help you. What do you want? Oh, we want AI. No. What do you want out of AI? What's the use case? Oh, you tell us. Really? I can tell you about the use cases, but what about you? You're the ones. You know what you need, what you don't need. So how about you tell me so that I can help you? Oh, you don't know which use cases? So then my friend or my colleagues, they do this. Sorry, they do. Meaning. So, okay, we can give these use cases. What is this? Now, the problem here is that the return on investment should be pegged to using AI specifically in the areas where you have your long-term and medium-term plans. If they're not addressing those, who cares? So then they end up, and for instance, one of them, I explained that, and they said, no, that's okay. We know we want this. Guess what? 1 year later, they spend a lot of money, and then they stopped it. Totally. And going back to ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, I should say, ChatGPT is for the average individual user. It is not for enterprise. Copilot, it is not for enterprise. None of those is for enterprise. But you can go for something called a mini LLM, a small LLM, where you can actually work on it, and you can actually have your own data, and you can work a lot on it, and have something far superior. But who is the decision maker? I'll go back now to, so the crux of the matter, the decision makers. Any decision makers here? Okay, excellent. Those of you who don't understand how to actually get the value back from AI, I'm being very blunt, then you just listen to your friends when you go for coffee or for a drink, and then you say, oh, okay, this is, no, I do this. No, we have that. So that's not ROI. You just spend out the door. So you have to peg it to that. And also, as I said again, when you ask, do you have the data? They say, we have petabytes of data. Excellent. Doing what? Are they cataloged, like you mentioned? Are they cataloged? Yes, we have Informatica. So guess what? It's me. I go inside, I'm an architect. I go inside and I look, and it's just a blast. But they call it, they've done their best. Hey, you know what? Why don't you actually make sure that you have this task force? 2 people task, not 10 people. Don't spend through your nose. 2 people. But bring someone from outside new to you who can actually talk and think AI, ML, no, data, actually. AI is 0 and below 0 without the right data. I think you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I do have a question.
If I may ask that we continue with the program, we are still going to have a bit of a Q&A and allow you guys to ask questions towards the end.
Sure.
Raido, just coming back to you in the context of blockchain, we understood from the audience that the majority of us is aware about blockchain, about the concepts, about the functionalities and use cases. What are the biggest misconceptions that are still existing out there when it comes to blockchain?
Exactly the same. That this is magic tool. If you have blockchain, you're in a good side. It's almost like, let's add Bluetooth to just sunglasses. Why? Because everything is better with Bluetooth. Everybody likes Bluetooth. Why? I don't know, but it's better. So this is the same with blockchain, AI. Everything has their own meaning, their own purpose. Why do you need it? And what you said about those data silos, I'm absolutely on board with that. This is exactly how can digitalization be done wrong. First, you have to understand what happens in the analog world. Then you have to design the workflows. Then you take the data from the paper and you turn it to ontological data points, what you will store as bits, not megabytes. And then you start to put it either on blockchain. If you put it on blockchain, your AI is supposed to be able to read this blockchain, and then you get value. Data for machine is not like data for human. I am reading a document to understand it. Machine understands only the ontological points, what are necessary and what can be collected from thousands or tens of thousands of documents to take a decision and help me with the decision making. But this is exactly that. We have to start from foundation. We can't build that This is our right side of the roof covered with sun panels and AI, and this is the left side of the roof, which is blockchain, which helps the right side work better. But where is the foundation? If foundation is ChatGPT or something LLM, which is globally used for average person, then basically we are building on nothing. First, foundation is know your business, then eliminate duplication, take it, let architects build a good architecture for you where you will start to store your data, and then blockchain and AI will be very helpful for you because blockchain helps to store this data in a way nobody can steal it or manipulate it. And AI will be there to find right blocks from where to take the data and deliver to you when you are in a process of decision making.
Excellent. And Khalid, just to close with you before giving you guys then the chance to open the Q&A with the audience, you mentioned about blockchain in the late 2007. We talked about generative AI coming into the scene in 2022 with ChatGPT. Then we had a lot of innovations coming from different countries and solutions. DeepSeek crashing the party early this year and actually putting us all into a shock mode. Let's take a look into the future. We are now here, 2025, on the TechNext conference in Dubai. Where do you see those technologies, blockchain and AI, from today in 10, 15 years, and how they will disrupt our day-to-day life?
Blockchain will always be as big or as small as the main frame of work, the business frame of work that is actually being put on top. It's as big as that. So it all depends then on the main business frame as opposed to blockchain. And it also might be applicable for someone, for a company, for an individual, for an enterprise, but not applicable for the other. It's very possible, especially for the ones, I mean, that's how it looks like now. For the ones that have very high number of transactions, if they have huge transactions, those are actually much more for using a blockchain because they're going to be more exposed, if I may say that, as opposed to ones that probably are not as much outside as far as transactions go. So for me, I think blockchain has a lot to offer, but it's not even figured out because I think also is the problem that it's actually solving is not that big yet. It's not that prevalent. I think it's going to be much more prevalent. And I think AI, just like how, I don't know why when we talk about blockchain, we forget about, I have to tap back to the data. This data that has been for many, many years being sleeping now is still sleeping, but only instead of the, the manual logs, it's actually in the digital logs only. Nothing else. So as we move on and make more use and process this data, make real value, much higher value for productivity of this data that we have, that's exactly how fast blockchain is going to follow. It's a second in nature. Like it follows the development of use of data. That's how I see it going.
Thank you very much. And Raido, where do you see blockchain beyond 2035?
I have a bad news for first. If blockchain, today's blockchains like they are today, the encryption what is used in most of the blockchains, SHA-256 for one directional encryption, probably it will be good to go, but how we access to the blockchain is used elliptic curves, and this cryptography will be toasted very soon. NIST has already declared that they will not support elliptical curves starting from 26. That means that everything today in blockchain is supposed to be delivered to the new blockchains, to the hard forks, which will be quantum resilient. This is for first. For the second part, AI, I am a little bit afraid that very soon we will really have AI coding itself, teaching himself what is known as singularity, or if AI will become self-conscious, then we will have a problem. Because we have illusion that we can control this machine, but if this machine becomes self-aware, then it becomes global next second. It will copy itself to every possible hardware, and that means that if we don't have kill switches for those AI models built in a way that they cannot be override by AI, we will have completely different problems here to talk about. For example, maybe we don't have even internet connectivity here. We are sitting in some cellar with thin roof, talking silently without any microphones, how to kill AI. So, and the way how we can prevent this happen is that first we have to establish a human presence in digital world. It's very difficult, but it's very important. We have to tie somehow our biometrical existence to cryptographic keys so that we can control and establish our presence in digital world. That means we have to have strong digital identities, and most what we use today are some PIN codes, facial verification, something like that, but this is not going to be enough. Because PIN codes, for example, in Estonia, we have the best digital identity solutions in the world, but that means that if you have my phone, where is my smart ID, you have my PIN codes, you can be me. This is not acceptable in cases when AI can pretend to be me. As it was said today that poisoning the information, what will be injected to the AI models will deliver you a horrible results. This is very important. So I love the idea, what was stated today from this stage, that we probably will have some internet solutions which are for human only. Sounds perfect. For that, again, we need to know who is human. Everything comes back to the digital identities, and I have been working in this field for 3 years now, and I think I have a solution, but of course, we all think that our solution is the best. But trust is something that must be proof-based. So trust is nice, but as soon as there is a screen between us, we can trust each other. As we heard earlier today that those video streaming platforms, tomorrow we can be on the same screen here without even knowing what we are talking about, but you will see us talking as real people, basically the same topics. Hologramic, yes.
Or deepfakes. So, organization team, do we still have a bit of time to allow a couple of questions? Then please go ahead, gentlemen.
Yeah, so my first question is to Mr. Khalid. It's basically the AI, like you mentioned that AI is buzzword, and I second this thought because it's more than 50 years that AI word exists. Nowadays it's become a hot topic. We can say that, like as we move towards the automation things, as we move towards the other aspects of the like digitization of the data. So I was actually feeding the entire information to ChatGPT. ChatGPT was listening the entire panel discussion. So ChatGPT brought up a question for you, both of you guys, that like where's the real line between AI improving security and AI amplifying our blind spots?
Where is the
borderline?
Borderline.
Yeah.
There is no borderline. There can't be borderline, by the way. No, honestly. But I would want to say this here. See, again, we're talking about AI even in this here, in this room, as if AI is this genie. It is not, okay? I have to go back again and say, take all the data from that processor. It's just a faster processor. That's what an AI is. You agree?
Agree.
AI is a faster processor, nothing more. Really, nothing more. And my friend was talking about how to kill switch. Hey, go to the electricity grid, take it off.
It's also ruled by AI.
No, but you can though. You can. But I'm against people who say AGI. Is it AGI? Yes. Artificial General Intelligence.
Yeah, exactly.
We have so many acronyms, that's why. So AGI is taking over. I do not agree. I strongly disagree. But I do agree that instead of that, actually, the importance is gonna be very visible going forward now, starting now, this year actually, is for the mining of the data that you have within to make use of. That's what you're going to see. So your data is going to start speaking. Yes, that's what you're going to see. But sorry, but for me, how can I make a banana cake? That's not actually, I can do that, but on a personal basis. But when you talk about something that changes productivity for humans and makes a huge difference, then you have to talk about the productivity areas, like businesses and how they make a difference, like government institutions that make a difference. Now they want to get to a point where, and this comes back to your point, by the way, that people walk, and that's what they want to do here in Dubai, by the way, in the airport, that you can walk and you don't have to stop. You just look at this fish tank, right and left as you're walking, like a distance of, I believe it's from this to this wall here. It's a very short distance. As you walk, and then it will actually do the whole thing, getting your information and allowing you to enter the country. So you didn't even get your passport out of your pocket. So they're doing that. Now, you can argue both ways, going back to that. That's excellent for the consumer, right? Because you don't have to go through these long lines and what have you. But on the other hand, what about privacy, right? Privacy. But then here you're talking about there's no privacy issue because it's taken from the passport. No. Some of it is from the passport. But then this whole thing from that point to that point, as opposed to how it is right now, is going to do all the checks and balances of you online until you reach to that other wall, by the way.
Agree.
Are we moving towards that and going there? Yes, we are. Can we stop it? No, we can't. So why do we talk about something we can't stop? Let's talk about something we can stop. And that is the right use of AI and data that comes before that. So there's a line, but there's a blurring line to me.
Agree.
I must say that this morning I was watching, President of USA was telling that, of course, AI energy consumption is notorious. So he build a nuclear energy plant next to your AI. That means you can't switch it off anymore. Please.
They need the mic.
So, do we have more questions? The gentleman there?
All right, thank you very much. I have way too many questions. I don't even know if you guys would you've opened the...
We have 3 minutes.
You have 3 minutes? Okay, so first of all, thank you guys for putting this very insightful. My name is Malak, I'm the CEO of eSky Solutions, which is something I hope everybody could start doing because we only have one day with each other. So, Mr. Khalid and Mr. Raido, you guys, I feel you're on two sides of the equation, which would actually give a good debate even after this at lunch, regarding consciousness of the machine.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah. All right. And, if I bring the conversation back to blockchain, where, in the basics forms of blockchain, you've got these blocks that have a signature, like a fingerprint, correct? And almost everybody in the town square gets a copy of that, and we keep it. You mentioned smart contracts, which I think is a great application. Do you think the reason why the propagation of blockchain did not spread as wildfire as it should is because we're into binary and we're not into quantum yet, and quantum will take it to the whole new level? We should get ready for blockchain taking over?
I would say that the idea was amazing. Exactly as you described, there is one more thing, it's time-stamped. So we know exactly what happened, when, by whom, so on. But the problem is that human being is not very ethical creature. We started to mess up those smart contracts. So instead of using smart contract like blindly, like something that works, you must consider who created the smart contract. This is thing. So you must be really careful. And we don't have time to be careful. We don't have time to evaluate or audit all those contracts. That is the problem. It hasn't spread because there is a flaw. If we would have some kind of creation of smart contracts, which is just a computer program, if everybody can create them by themselves, it makes sense, and then it might start spreading. But today, I think this is the pitfall.
One last thing. Also, I think it's the watchdogs and government institutions, governments are not adopting blockchain out openly. That makes a huge difference. Because if they do, you know, most markets actually follow. Because you're talking about trust here. So there's nothing more trusting than, whether you like or not, than actually having the governments adopt such technology.
And one more thing is, like, I'm coming back to this X-Road solution what Estonia has been using for 24 years. It's open source protocol. It does exactly the same thing like blockchain. Timestamping, hashing, chains, and signs, all the data movements. And this is open source protocol. And if you are using it, we are using it, then data between us is secure. So, and it's one protocol, not like 10 or 100 different chains.
Please go ahead.
Guys, look at this. I wasn't kidding when I said good cop, bad cop, green and red.
So, I mean, when it comes to the panel discussion, it's unfortunately ending here, but the discussion on blockchain is not ending. Please, let's use the break that we're going to have for networking, coffee, to further elaborate on all the aspects around blockchain. I really appreciated the energy that we had in the room, so big applause for you guys, and thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be your host.
Wow, what an insightful and thought-provoking discussion. Let's give it a big round of applause to our panel team, Mr. Khalid, Mr. Raido, and Mr. Eliel, for such diverse and powerful perspectives on potential of blockchain in cybersecurity. So, won't be holding all of you any longer. I know we all need a break, and the time is here. The food counter is open. Please, it's open for everyone. Please enjoy your lunch, and we will resume back after an hour, okay? Give it up for TechNext, Artificial Intelligence and Cybersecurity 2025.